Woo! Okay. The questions are the answer. Have you ever read a page in a book or right at the end and could not recall what you just read? You may even reread it only to forget it again. I don't want you to experience this while you are reading this book, so why do you think it happens? The answer is you're not asking the right questions. Questions, in fact, the answers are the answers. Every second, your senses gather up to 11 million bits of information from the world around you. Obviously, if you try to interpret and decipher all of them at once, you'd be immediately overwhelmed. That's why the brain is primarily a deletion device. It's designed to keep information out. The conscious mind typically processes only 50 bits per second. What makes it through the filter is determined by the part of the brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. RAS is responsible for a number of functions, including sleep and behavior modification. It also acts as the gatekeeper of information through a process called habituation, which allows the brain to ignore meaningless and repetitive stimuli and remain sensitive to other inputs. One of the ways to guide the RAS are the questions we ask ourselves. This tell that part of our brain what is important to us. Let's take my younger sister's birthday as an example. Years ago, my sister kept sending me postcards, pictures, and emails of pug dogs. You know, the ones with the mushy faces and the bulgy eyes. They're very docile. You can dress them up as ballerinas and they won't care. Of course, I wonder why she was sending me photos of pugs, and then I remember her birthday was coming up and it became evident she was living closer because she wanted one. Later that day, I was checking out at the health food store and I looked over at the other checkout line. To my surprise, I saw a woman carrying her pug over her shoulder. Wow, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. What are the chances of that? I thought. The next day, I went running in my neighborhood and there was someone walking 6 pugs. The question is, where did the pugs come from? Did they just magically appear? Of course not. They were always there, but in the flood of stimuli, I had never paid attention to them before. Once pugs broke through my awareness, I started seeing them all over the place. Have you ever had an experience like this? Maybe it was a specific kind of car or outfit that magically began appearing everywhere. In an interview with media personality Jenny Mai, we compare this effect to how your favorite social media platform starts showing you more posts based on past expressed interest. The site you're on knows this because of what you clicked, liked, or watched before. Your RAS is like that size algorithm. It shows you more of what you express interest in, and it hides the things you don't engage in. So often the answer we want are there, but we're not asking the right questions to shine a spotlight on them. Instead, we're asking useless questions, or worse, questions that are disempowering. Why am I not smart enough? Why am I not good enough? Why can't I lose weight? Why can't I find the person I'm meant to be with? We ask such negative questions, and then those questions give us evidence or pugs as answers. The human mind is always generalizing in order to make sense of the world. Here, there, and everywhere, we can find evidence to confirm our beliefs. Okay. Thinking is a process of reasoning through something, during which we ask and answer questions. You may be asking, is that true? See, you had to ask a question. Well, we have tens of thousands of thoughts a day. We have one, maybe two dominant questions we ask more than others. As you can imagine, these questions direct our focus, which directs how we feel and how we consequently spend our lives. As a thought experiment, imagine someone whose most frequent question is, how do I get people to like me? You don't know their age, career, or what they look like, but you know more than you probably realize. What do you imagine their personality is like? You don't need to know much to guess that they are people pleaser. They're indirect in expressing their needs, and they're not authentic about how they feel or think in any given moment. Someone who is constantly asking themselves how to get people to like them can never truly be their true self, because they will always be molding themselves to the preference of the people around them, even if they're not aware of it. You know all this information, and you only know one question they ask themselves. What do you think is your dominant question? Okay. Quote, The one real object of education is to leave a person in the condition of continually asking questions. Bishop Mandel Creighton. Okay. Creighton. Next quote is, "He who asks questions cannot avoid the answers." Cameron proverb. Okay. Your dominant question. When I felt my brain was broken, I loved to escape into the world of superheroes, comic books, Dungeons and Dragons, the world of fantasy, helped me forget my pain. I decided that the superpower that would be best for me was invisibility, and my dominant question became, how do I stay invisible? Instead of being seen, I was always watching everyone else, wondering what everyone else's life was like. I wonder why this person was so popular and that person was so happy. So what made another person so smart? I was suffering all the time. So as I watched people and learned from the world around me, my dominant question changed to, how do I make this better? I wanted to solve this riddle. How does my mind work so I can work my mind? The more and more I asked these new questions, the more answers I got. The book is the result of 2 decades of asking empowering questions. I first met Will Smith at Quincy Jones' 80th birthday party. After hearing about my traumatic brain injury, he invited me to be his guest at the premiere of the film Concussion, a movie about the concerns of football-related head trauma. I'll talk about brain protection in an upcoming chapter. Eventually, Will booked me to come to Toronto to spend time with him for a week on set. He was shooting a superhero film, so you can imagine that I was in my glory. What was interesting to me was that the cast and crew were working each night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. outside in the dead of winter. Not all Hollywood is glitz and glam. There's a lot of hurrying up just to wait on set. During a break, Will and I discovered a few of his dominant questions, one of which is, how do I make this moment even more magical? While we were waiting for Will's next scene to shoot, his family and friends were huddled in tents watching the other actors work. At 3 a.m., while I'm sure everyone was cold and tired, we got to see his dominant question in action. He was bringing everyone hot cocoa, cracking jokes to make us smile, and actively playing host when he could have been resting. He was indeed making the moment even more magical. The result of this question directed his focus and his behavior and completely changed the experience for everyone. Prepare your mind. Questions direct your focus, so they play into everything in life. Even reading comprehension, because people typically don't ask enough questions when they read, they compromise their focus, understanding, and retention. If you prep your mind with the right kinds of questions before you read, you will see answers, puck dogs everywhere. For that reason, I place specific key questions throughout the book. To start you off, here are the 3 dominant questions to ask on our journey together. They will help you to take action on what you learn and turn the knowledge into power. How can I use this? Why must I use this? When will I use this? When will I use this? Okay. Instead of passively reading, consider these questions as you take in the knowledge in this book. Remember, questions are the answer. At the beginning of every chapter for the rest of the book, you will find a series of questions that are designed to prime your focus as you read. Study the questions before you read each chapter, and you'll be better prepared to understand and remember what you learn. Along with the questions, do the quick start exercise seated in strategic places throughout the book. They are specific activities designed to train you to take immediate action in your learning and life. Most of this can be done in 1 or 2 minutes. Remember the power of neuroplasticity. Every time you answer a question and do a new activity, you rewire your brain. I also conclude each chapter with exercises to do before you move on to the next section to really set these lessons into practice. Okay. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Okay, tomorrow part 2. Limitless mindset. The what. So that's it, guys. See you tomorrow.